Thought weaving, the essence of napkin. Let me apologize beforehand because I think this video is apt to be a little longer than I like them to be, though I've been trying to figure out how to make it shorter and I can't leave things out. So I've been a Roam user for the last couple of years, and in Roam, my notes in Roam, if you call them notes, are voluminous. And there's probably 30,000 tags over the last 2 years. And a couple weeks ago when I ran into Napkin, I struggled with Napkin because Napkin is just different. It's positioned as a note-taking app, though I don't think that's the appropriate positioning for it. I think it's a place to weave thoughts together to give you a basis for creating new thoughts or insights or ideas. You work off of the screen and you can go ahead and tell it that you want to insert a new thought. And once you type it in, you can go ahead and then tell it you're done editing it. You can tell it you want to add tags, and it will look for suggestions. So it says Roam and Obsidian are things that ought to be tags. And then you can add additional tags. Also, you can link to other URLs outside of Napkin, or you can link to other notes, or you can create stacks, and I'll talk about those in a minute. You can also copy the note, do a tweet, or delete it altogether. And I'm going to make this a to-do, which is something that I've not done before. Well, it looks like I got 2 of these in here that are the same, which happens sometimes. That bothered me for a while, and then I realized that if I run into a duplicate, I can just delete one. Then there's this display where you can look at tags and review sets of notes or thoughts. You can tell it you want to review thoughts from the past, and it will look at things that you've never seen before or seen in the last 20 hours or whatever, and lets you walk through and compare them. And it displays for you a set of thoughts that it considers to be related based on the tags, and sometimes the tags and the content. So you sort of, it's a surprise sometimes when you see what pops up. You can also look at notes that you've created without connections. And I guess I don't have an iPhone, but I guess this is useful. And the inbox here is the part that I didn't get around to for a while. There's a plugin, which is a text capture that allows you to capture text and send it to Napkin. And there's also an app for iPhone. There isn't one for Android yet, and I sure wish there was because I don't have an iPhone. And when I finally got to a point of realizing how useful this could be, it took me 2 weeks to create 100 thoughts and 2 hours to create 100 more. So here's an article that I'm reviewing, which was in, I keep all my articles in things that I'm actually annotating in Diigo so I can highlight them and do things with the highlights. But if I come here and I'm reading this, and it says our brain is scattered, whatever, I can capture this and then say, send it to Napkin. And then the structure of thoughts in the brain resemble a web of ideas. I can capture this and send it to Napkin. So as I'm reading it, as I'm reading anything on the web, I can simply highlight it and send it to Napkin. And I find out that I'm doing that from just about everything I touch. If I do a search and call up and look at a web page, or if I'm reviewing posts on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever, most of us think is, so here's another one. Okay, I can capture this one. We become hoarders of information. I can capture this one. And as you add more thoughts, I can capture this one. So I'm sending these to Napkin. So when I go back to Napkin, I can come up here and it tells me that I've got these 6 items in my review box. So when I call them up and look at them, notice that it already says, in other words, I can then edit it and say, just as, tell it that I really want this tag, and I can add other tags. I don't really want another one, so I'll just go ahead and say go to the next one. Become hoarders of information. We become hoarders of information. I say information sharing, hoarding, and so I can just walk through these. Now notice that as they're coming up, they've got tags on them, and Napkin has been looking at them and thinking about appropriate tags since I clipped them and sent them to Napkin. And so this one, most of us think writing is a tool. So this is writing and information and storage. All right, now notice that the screen is changing all the time I'm doing this because it's continuing to look at the tags and the content and recommending things that are appropriate to this note. And now notice that even though I'm clicking on the same note, it's recommending different things. And I can go ahead and say I'm looking for information. Well, there are 19 things tagged with information, and I can walk through all of those and see what's related. Though notice that this is information and this is related, but it doesn't have a tag of information, and this one's related and it doesn't have a tag of information because it's figuring out relationships based upon what the content is. So then the question is, what do you do with all this stuff? Well, it depends on what you, all right, there's this box over here, so you can grab a thought and you can put it in here and say, all right, I want to reflect on this in the future, so I can open this and ponder it for some reason. It's something that I want to think about. I can create these stacks, which are places that I can put things. Now, if I go here and say to do, I got one to do, so I can show the things that are to do. If I go back here, it tells me I can grab this and I can take it over and I can put it in my to-do list. So these are the things that are currently there, and you can make multiple segments. The idea is that if you identify things that you're working on, like here's one for next article, which I'm going to use, as you collect bits and pieces of stuff, if you know where they go, if you think they're relevant to something that you're working on, you can drag them over and drop them in a stack, and then you can go to the stack and you can rearrange the pieces and you can create multiple segments so that you then have essentially all of these pieces. It's like creating the sections of something that you're working on, which you can then go ahead and copy the entire stack to a clipboard and put it into something that you're going to edit. So, and on here you can say, show all the notes for information, or I can filter them and look at them all here. All right, and I can edit them, do things with them. I mean, there's just different ways of looking at the same things. Though, as I indicated, from my perspective, it's an environment to allow you to weave things together as a basis for new thoughts and insights. It's a perspective or a view on things that I absolutely don't get from Roam, because Roam is just an ongoing collection of stuff. And as I tag it, it gets collected together, but it doesn't show me things in a related fashion the way that Napkin does. And since a few hours ago when I actually broke the code, I'm just absolutely fascinated because stuff is just being dropped into Napkin from everything that I touch. So I'm not sure where this is going, but in a couple of weeks I ought to have a better sense of it. So hope you found this of some interest, and I'll see you in another musing soon.